Hey guys, how's it going? Back with another daily update video. It is Tuesday, July 14th. It's 5:05 p.m. so the markets have just closed. And taking a look at the heat map here, a lot of green on the board. We had a big rally day today, right? A lot of green overall. And this is not what I expected whatsoever. It's not what I predicted because, as you know, JP Morgan had their earnings session this morning pre-market, and I was fully expecting that all the bank stocks, the financial sector was going to be blood red and take the whole market down with it, but pretty much the exact opposite happened. So that just goes to show you that nobody knows anything, including me, and at this point it's just a big gamble on the market. And that's why I think more than ever it's important just to place stocks in terms of wheeling that you would not mind holding long term, so good companies that you like, and that if you had to, you would bag hold and hold those shares long term. So let's get into it. Looks like semis were good today. AMD up 2%, Nvidia up 3%, Micron just up a little bit, 0.5%, so pretty much sideways. The two big tech stocks, Netflix and Amazon, were pretty much sideways to a little bit down, 0.6 and 0.1%. Apple, Microsoft had a nice little recovery. Google, Facebook, also still pretty much sideways, but overall, green day in the market. I mean, here's the bank sector here. Wells Fargo got hit hard, down almost 4.6%. JP Morgan, surprisingly, even though their earnings were bad, they traded sideways, which is probably the best case scenario for them. But not only were they really sideways, they actually gained a little bit. They were up almost 0.6%, which just makes no sense to me. Bank of America, pretty much sideways as well, although it was down 0.2%. Citigroup down almost 4%. So Citigroup and Wells Fargo were hit really hard. PNC Bank down. I mean, you can see the banking stocks were down, but they weren't able to pull the rest of the market down with it. If we want to take a look at IWM, which is the Russell 2000 ETF, but is heavily made up of financial sector stocks, IWM actually rallied. It actually was up overall 1.7% today. Looks like we closed at roughly almost just shy of 142. So again, just an odd day in the market and not what I would have expected. But looking at a lot of the stocks, let's look at some of the semi stocks. AMD, you can see we were pretty much at 9:30 a.m. on market open. We were in oversold territory for the RSI. And so you can see that AMD rallied. It went from about $52 and some change, almost $53 at market open, and rallied about $2 and some change to close up 2.1% today. So a lot of the stocks look similar, where they were all oversold at market open and then rallied. So let's look at Micron. Similar scenario here, right? Oversold at market open, rallied up to close. Let's take a look at the semi ETF. Again, oversold at open and then rallied to close. Completely unrelated stock, Disney, also oversold at open and then rallied today. So it looks like in general, the market had a very red day in general overall yesterday. A lot of stuff was oversold. So if I could go back in time, in hindsight, market open would have been a good time to maybe do a buy right, where you can buy 100 shares of stock and then sell a covered call on it, or maybe just buy shares of stock outright and just day trade it. Just run the profit up all day long and then maybe cash out at the end of the day for some quick profit. But again, can't go back in time, unfortunately, but I would not have predicted that's how today was going to play out. Let's take a look at IWM on the Robinhood start graph here. And you can see pretty much opened right where we closed yesterday. So not a lot of movement after hours in pre-market. But then we had a slow bleed up all day long. And look where IWM is right now. It's at 143.37 after hours. So some news must have just broke after hours, because it looks like at exactly 5 p.m., it just absolutely took off like a rocket. Let's take a look at some of the other ETFs here to see what they're doing after hours. Let's take a look at SMH. SMH is flat. Let's take a look at something like XLF, which tracks the financial sector. So that also took off like a rocket right at 5 p.m. Let's take a look at XLK, which tracks the technology sector of the spider stocks. So that was flat too. So it looks like so the fact that IWM and XLF both took off, it must be something financial stock related. There must be some good news that came out, or maybe maybe some companies are reporting earnings right now and they had good earnings, so that's why this stock is rallying. But we'll have to see if it holds after hours and if we open up gapping up tomorrow morning. But that's some interesting thing. I'll have to look into that to see if some news broke or see why we had this big surge. I mean, just taking a look at it on IWM specifically, at 5 p.m. IWM was trading at 141.51, and then literally 11 minutes later trading at 143.77. So it gapped up almost $2 in the matter of 11 minutes, which is crazy. So have to keep an eye on that for tomorrow morning when the market opens. Let's take a quick look at what some of the most popular options were today. And while this page loads, we'll check it out. So STM, I'm not sure what this, I think this is some sort of hype stock of the week now. So I'm not sure why that's the most popular stock with a very high volume. The volume is double that of the second place stock, which is Apple. But JP Morgan also, people are buying calls, looks like 100 calls on JP Morgan. So I guess people were trying to buy the dip maybe, and they're bullish on the bank stocks recovering short term. But I'm assuming that a lot of this is dip buying. But again, me personally, I'm staying away from the financial sector stocks. I don't think they're healthy right now. I don't think they're going to be healthy in the short term. And I really don't want to end up bag holding shares of bank stocks right now. And that's just my personal opinion, not financial advice. Again, AMD calls, these 55 calls have been very popular. 60 calls on AMD. These calls, these 55, 60 calls have been very popular for days now on AMD. So people are still very bullish on AMD. I think people are hoping for a breakout because AMD has pretty much been kind of coiling or consolidating for a while now. If we zoom out, you can see here from roughly April, from mid-April to today, AMD has just been trading between $58 and $49, just up and down, up and down, up and down. So it feels like AMD is just like biding its time, waiting for either a big breakout. And that doesn't necessarily have to be a big breakout up. It could be a breakout down as well. But it looks like it's gearing up or it's almost due for a big move. So just a heads up, and again, that's just my opinion, not financial advice. But looks like AMD is gearing up to do something big. And I think if AMD does make a big move, I'm sure it's going to take the other semi stocks like Micron with it. So we'll have to keep an eye on that to see what happens. But going back, Ford was popular today too. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but Ford unleashed their new Bronco overnight last night, I believe. So that might be why people are a little bit bullish on Ford. I haven't taken a look at the car yet, but I know people are kind of clamoring for it just because they like the older model when it was out and it hasn't been out for a while. So maybe people are bullish on Ford because the new Bronco release and they like, you know, what it's about, and I guess they like the price point or whatever. But that's all for today. I'm going to keep these videos nice and short. At last check, we are at 950 subscribers. So we are almost there. I think I'm going to have to work overtime and set up this Discord server this week because it seems like we're going to be ripping and roaring and ready to go to fire up this Discord server this coming weekend. So just give me a few days. I am working hard on it. I want to make sure it's functional and good to go when we open it up to everybody. So as always, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. Let me know how your trades are doing this week. Did you open any new positions today, or did you trade any new positions or close any positions today? And as always, happy trading.